Tess, a promising novelist, was driving home after meeting one of her fans when disaster struck. Out of nowhere, a piece of wood got lodged under her tire, forcing her to come to a sudden halt.
I don't like it out here.
She attempted to flag down passing cars for help, but her efforts were in vain.
Zombie Bakers. It's a stupid name anyway!
Fortunately, a local stopped and offered to assist her in changing the flat tire.
You are a godsend.
However, as they found themselves alone in the middle of the woods, things took a dark turn. He suddenly attacked her.
Gosh sakes.
And after realizing he might have killed her, he decided to dispose of her body deep in the forest, an area that revealed signs of other victims. This chilling discovery suggests that Tess is not his first target. Let's uncover how this all unfolded. The story begins with Tess Thorne, a celebrated novelist renowned for her captivating mystery thrillers. As she prepares for an outing, she chats with her best friend over a video call. Today's agenda includes a meeting with a devoted fan at the local library, and Tess is eager to engage with her audience. She promises her friend they'll catch up later over movies and a glass of wine, but time slips away as she rushes to say goodbye to her beloved pet, nearly tripping in her haste. Once in her car, Tess inputs the library's location into her GPS, affectionately named Tom, and waves goodbye to a group of elderly women who have always shown her warmth and support. Following Tom's directions, she navigates the long, winding roads until she finally arrives at the library. As she parks, she is greeted by Ramona Norsel, who beams at her and offers to show her the quickest route home, promising to save her an hour on her return journey. Before taking the stage, Tess is met by a gathering of enthusiastic older ladies who welcome her with hugs and selfies, expressing their gratitude for the novels that resonate so deeply with their community. Ramona has personally invited Tess to share her experiences and insights with this eager audience. Standing before them, Tess feels enveloped by their admiration. These are not mere fans but individuals whose lives have been enriched by her stories. Their affection reignites her passion for writing, affirming that she is precisely where she belongs, sharing her journey with those who truly value it. As the conference concludes and Tess prepares to depart, Ramona thanks her warmly for the inspiring speech. After their brief exchange, she hands Tess a note detailing the fastest route home and sets the GPS accordingly. With a renewed sense of excitement, Tess sets off, buoyed by joyful anticipation of returning home. However, the drive takes a harrowing turn when a stray piece of wood suddenly becomes lodged beneath her tire, forcing her to come to an abrupt halt. Stepping out to assess the damage, frustration wells up within her as she realizes the wood has punctured her tire. Stranded at an old, dilapidated petrol station that appears to have been abandoned for years, Tess finds herself isolated on a desolate and treacherous road, unaware of the dark turn her evening is about to take. With no one around to lend a hand, she faced the daunting task of changing her tire alone, acutely aware of how difficult it would be to find another vehicle on this empty stretch of highway. She came to a stop on the side of the road. Tess was standing there waiting for a vehicle to arrive when she noticed a bus approaching and signaled it to halt with her hand, but the bus did not stop and drove away. After a while, Tessa notices another vehicle approaching and signals it to halt with her hand. Fortunately, the car came to a halt. Tessa quickly approached the driver, seeking his assistance, and he readily agreed to help her. His name was Lester. As he began changing the tire on her vehicle, Tessa felt a sense of relief wash over her, convinced that she would soon be on her way home. However, her relief turned to dread when she noticed the same pieces of wood with protruding nails in Lester's car. A cold shock gripped her heart, leaving her feeling vulnerable and exposed. As she stood there, a sinking realization dawned upon her. Lester was watching her with a predatory gaze as he worked on the tire. His demeanor had shifted since he first offered help. It was clear that his intentions had darkened upon realizing she was alone. Before Tessa could process her unease, Lester suddenly closed the distance between them and struck her face with brutal force. The blow sent her crashing to the ground, rendering her unconscious in an instant. He forcibly places her in his car and drives her to a remote, desolate location. When Tessa regains consciousness, she is horrified to find Lester assaulting her in the most brutal manner. Desperation fills her as she cries out for help, pleading with him to stop, but his cruelty knows no bounds. He continues his attack, deriving satisfaction from her suffering. As Tessa loses consciousness from the relentless assault, he callously hoists her over his shoulder and carries her deep into the heart of the forest, where he callously discards her like a broken doll. Believing her to be lifeless, Lester drags her limp form to an even more isolated spot before abandoning her there and fleeing into the shadows. After Lester departs, we see Tessa slowly regain consciousness. Struggling to rise, she sinks back down into the chilling water, her body battered and broken. Though she is alive, her condition is dire, she can barely stand. As she glances beside her, a wave of horror washes over her as she discovers the lifeless bodies of other girls, victims of Lester's brutal assaults, discarded like trash after their lives were violently taken. In that moment of despair, a flicker of determination ignites within Tessa. Summoning every ounce of strength, she begins to wobble toward safety, each step a testament to her will to survive. Overwhelmed by shock from the horrific ordeal she has just endured, uncertainty grips her mind. Fear courses through her veins as she staggers along the road, acutely aware of the danger that lurks around her. When she spots a car approaching from behind, panic sets in. Instinctively, she seeks refuge, hiding in the shadows to evade detection, her trust in passing vehicles shattered by the trauma she has experienced. After a long and arduous journey, Tessa stumbles upon a small shop where she can finally freshen up. Desperate to share her harrowing experience, she tries to call her friend, but the call goes unanswered. Frustrated yet determined, she manages to reach her home. The first thing she does upon entering is retrieve her gun, carefully loading it with bullets to defend herself against Lester, who now possesses her bag and address, leaving her vulnerable to his potential return. The trauma of the horrific encounter weighs heavily on Tessa, rendering her too shaken to seek medical attention for her injuries. Instead, she retreats into the safety of her home, seeking solace in isolation as she grapples with the aftermath of the nightmarish ordeal. As time went by, Tessa's physical wounds began to mend, but the scars of her trauma ran much deeper. Fueled by a burning desire for vengeance against Lester, she steeled herself for the confrontation ahead, determined to teach him a lesson he would never forget. Just as she was plotting her next move, a call came through, notifying her that her car was ready for pickup but needed to be retrieved before the police intervened. Upon her arrival at the impound lot, she encountered an elderly woman who noticed Tessa's injuries and inquired about what had happened. As Tessa recounted the harrowing details of her encounter with Lester, the woman shared her own painful history, how her stepfather had brutally tortured and abused her, even gouging out her eye in a fit of rage. With a somber tone, she cautioned Tessa about the dangers of heartless men, urging her to remain vigilant and strong in a world that often overlooks the suffering of women. Tessa eventually gets into her car and drives home. After returning home, she checks her computer and discovers that Ramona had taken her photo in the library and had asked her to take the shortcut home. Tessa wonders why Ramona was continuously pressing her to take the route. She concludes that Ramona set a trap for her and purposefully sent her via the shortcut so that Lester could catch Tessa and assault her. In a shocking twist, Tessa learns that Lester is actually Ramona's son. Fueled by a mix of betrayal and rage after confirming this revelation, along with the fact that Ramona had sent Lester Tessa's photo via email, Tessa grabs her gun and storms toward Ramona's home, intent on seeking retribution. When Ramona opens the door, her eyes widen in terror at the sight of Tessa alive and standing before her, gun aimed directly at her. Overcome with fear, Ramona collapses into a pleading stance, hands clasped together as she cries out, insisting she was innocent of any wrongdoing. But Tessa's heart is hardened, she is deaf to Ramona's desperate cries. Just as Tessa prepares to pull the trigger, Ramona seizes the moment, lunging at Tessa and wresting the gun away from her. In a desperate struggle for survival, Tessa quickly regains her composure and counters Ramona's attack, overpowering her in a fierce confrontation. In a final act of self-defense, Tessa takes back the gun and fires, resulting in Ramona's tragic demise. After the harrowing act of taking a life, Tessa wipes the blood from her face, her hands trembling as she stares at a photo of Lester with his younger sibling, their smiles frozen in time. The weight of her actions hangs heavy in the air. Suddenly, she spots Lester, his hand bandaged, driving away. Consumed by a mix of desperation and determination, Tessa follows him to a desolate, haunting location that seems to echo her inner turmoil. Upon arriving, she jumps out of the car and begins to scour the area for Lester, but he is nowhere to be found. Anxiety mounts as she searches frantically, her heart racing. Just then, she notices a truck approaching in the distance. Instinctively, she hides, convinced that Lester is behind the wheel. As the vehicle comes to a halt, adrenaline surges through her veins, and she steps forward, her finger tightening on the trigger as she fires a shot aimed at his head. But as the figure tumbles out of the truck, Tessa's heart sinks. It isn't Lester at all. The realization crashes over her like a wave as she kneels beside the fallen man, Lester's brother, the sibling from the photo she had clutched moments earlier. Overwhelmed by grief and regret, Tessa's cries pierce the silence of the abandoned landscape as she grapples with the irreversible consequences of her actions. Then she heads to the empty house. When she looks with a torch, Her eyes pop out because there were several images on the walls of Lester and his brother raping girls and then being presented. They were mercilessly killing the girls. Tessa discovers that these two brothers and their mother work together to catch females, assault them, and kill them. Then Tessa recalls that while Lester was assaulting her, her brother was photographing them. Then Tessa hears strange sounds. When she goes to visit, she sees Lester, who is busy working. Tessa now gets a gun in her hand and carefully moves towards Lester, like a hungry lioness, in order to hunt this scoundrel. Tessa could have blasted Lester's head off from a distance, but she chose to kill him by displaying her face. Lester turns around to see Tessa pointing a gun at him. Lester is likewise surprised to see Tessa alive, believing that he had killed her. As soon as Lester steps in to kill Tessa, she begins shooting at him. Even after being shot, the creature attempts to assault Tessa. Tessa then picks up a wooden stick with nails and smacks Lester in the head. Lester begins to scream in anguish as the nails penetrate his face. Then he attempts to flee by climbing aboard a vehicle to save his life, but he is unable to do so because he is half dead. Then Tessa approaches him and shoots him on his manhood, killing him. Tessa's revenge is complete now that Lester has died and the movie ends. Thank you for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.